Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you find today in all your condition. Okay, and welcome back with me, Aprilia Angreni. So in this video, I would like to tell you about the freedom of the air. So before I start about the freedom of the air, uh, I would like to tell you about the related of the airport passenger handling with freedom of the air. Okay, and I will start from airport passenger handling or the definition of airport passenger handling. The second, what is freedom of the air or definition of freedom of the air, and the last is the name of freedom of the air or component of freedom of the air. So guys, what is airport passenger handling? Airport passenger handling means responsibility in providing services to passengers from check-in points to airline site as per the carrier procedures and instruction. In airport passenger handling have the sum of activity such as check-in counter, boarding gate, customer service, and the last is lost and found. Okay, the second. What is freedom of the air? Freedom of the air area set of commercial aviation rights granting a country's airlines the privilege to enter and to land in another country's airspace. They were formulated as a result of disagreement over the extent of aviation liberalization in the Convention on International Civil Aviation of 1944, known as the Chicago Convention. Freedom of the air. They are a set of commercial aviation rights formulated during the Chicago Convention of 1944. There are a total of 9 freedoms. The first and second freedom are called transit rights. The remaining freedoms are called traffic rights. And the third, I would like to talk about the need of freedom of the air. The first freedom, the right or privilege in respect of schedule, international air services granted by one state to another state or states to fly across its territory without landing. For example, a flight from Toronto to Mexico City with flown by Mexican Airlines flying over the United States, or Garuda Indonesia Airlines flying to Singapore via Malaysia without transit to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. So for example, you can look at this picture. Okay, this country state to fly across its territory without landing in country B. Second freedom, the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state or states to land in its territory for non-traffic purposes. For example, a flight from United Kingdom to the United States flown by British Airlines refueling at Ibris Airport in Adelaide, or a flight from Toronto to Mexico City flown by Canada Airlines refueling at the Chicago International Airport in United States. For example, you can look from this picture. And the third freedom, the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state to put down in the territory of the first state traffic coming from the home states of the carrier. For example, a flight from New Zealand to Japan flown by New Zealand Airlines. Or another example, a flight from Toronto, Canada to Chicago, United States flown by a Canada Airlines. For example, you can look from this picture. And the first freedom, the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state to take on, in the territory of the first state, traffic destined for the home state of the carrier. For example, a flight from Chile to Brazil flown by Brazilian Airlines. And another example, a flight from Toronto, Canada to Chicago, United States flown by United States Airlines. The fifth of freedom, the right or privilege in respect of scheduled international air services granted by one state to another state to put down and to take on, in the territory of the first state, traffic coming from or destined to a third state, also known as a fifth freedom right. For example, a flight from Melbourne, Australia to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, with a stop in Denpasar, Indonesia, flown by Malaysian Airlines. Passenger and cargo might travel between Melbourne and Denpasar with no intention to continue on to Kuala Lumpur. And another example, a flight from Qatar to Bangkok, Thailand, and then to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, flown by Qatar Airlines. The sixth, freedom, the right or privilege to fly between two places in a foreign country while stopping in our country for non-technical reasons, also known as sixth freedom right, or the right to fly between two places in a foreign country while stopping in one's own country for non-technical reasons. For example, a flight between two airports in the United States flown by airlines based in Canada with a stop in Canada, such as a flight from Seattle, United States via Toronto, Canada to Boston, United States with a passenger ticket from Seattle to Boston. And the seventh freedom, the right or privilege to fly between two foreign countries where the flags do not touch one own country. For example, a flight between Spain and Sweden flown by an Irish Airlines. Or another example, a flight from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Jakarta, Indonesia flown by ITA Airways or Italian Airlines. You can look for this picture, a flight between Spain and Sweden. This Spain and Sweden flown by Irish Airlines to country C. And the age of freedom, the right or privilege to fly inside a foreign country, having start from or continue to one's own country. For example, a flight operated by a South African Airlines between San Francisco and Cape Town with a full stop in New York. Passenger and cargo may board or disembark the flight in New York with no intention to board the flight to Cape Town. And the meaning of freedom, or the last, is the right or privilege to fly within a foreign country without continuing to one's own country. For example, a flight flown between Paris and Lyon by a German Airlines, or a flight from Beijing to Shanghai flown by Italian Airlines. So guys, I think that's all I can to talk to you about the freedom of the air. I hope you can learn something about the material I can to talk to you, and see you. Bye bye.